Hello, everyone, and welcome to SIMseniors once again. We're back for the second round of the season, and it's going to be a pretty interesting one indeed. My name's Ben Sapsford, and I will be your guide tonight once again. Welcome everybody in, and I gotta say, I'm excited. After the first round that we had last time out in Spa, tonight is certainly not going to disappoint. We have much to discuss. We've got much to be looking forward to. And the main thing here is going to be the story of last round, and namely, how chaotic it was. Now, for me, one of the big things for the season is going to be, of course, the massive driver roster. Now, we did have a couple of technical issues last time, I will admit, and that did result in a couple of hiccups in some of the internal tools, but we've made some adjustments, so things should be much smoother this time round to compensate for the large population of cars that are going to be making on the track. 37 cars and counting now, as we are getting ourselves prepped internally for practice and then getting rigged up for the full session. Main thing as we head into tonight is going to be the track. Now, Silverstone, you know it, you love it. It's an iconic piece of racing history and a well-beloved British track. The key areas you're going to be seeing fighting is likes of Luffield, Woodcote. You're going to see Maggotts Beckett's Chapel, of course. You'll have maybe a couple of sends as you try to power out of Vale Corner and into the Hamilton Straight too. So there's going to be plenty of plenty of action up and down the track, especially given how popular it is and how well practiced it is for some too. So we are just getting confirmation on the back end as well of the session going ahead, and then we will be going trackside as we are now over 40 cars joining tonight. So let's see who we're racing with. Of course, we do have our familiar faces, starting off with the gold class that will be taken to the track in the second half of qualifying. And look into the standings, Lindblom with the NSX continuing to prove himself an absolute tour de force in the season. 47 points with Guillemar in 40-point trim in the Mustang. Neergaard, though, was certainly the talk of last race. For a debut, was absolutely impressive. That Mercedes AMG really can move. And for every winner, there is losers. For someone to win, someone has to lose. And unfortunately, the amount of chaos we saw on track meant that there were a lot of penalty points dished out. We'll pick out some highlights and lowlights as we go. But key thing here, James Payton down from 24 points to just 8 post-penalties. And then you've even got some drivers who are in the negatives. Lenatus and Björklund currently in the negatives in points on the standings, as their points penalty far outweighed the points that they gained in the session. Looking over to the silver side of things, we have Paul Murray currently leading in the McLaren 720S with Radoslav Vischerek in second place. Again, another showing of strength coming in from that Ferrari, and really setting the stage for their debut in Season 9. Robert Homer's going to be in third in the Porsche and a few points away. And then on the other side of things, you had 8 penalty points going out for Matthias Martinson, 16 for Renato Ribeiro. Chris Wilson with, I believe that's 13 points, so he's going to be in the negatives in the Vantage. And then Neil Mellon in the Ferrari, who's into negatives with 16 point penalties too. Finally, into the bronze side, Craig Niesbet leads in the 720S with Michael Bull in the 720S also. Looks like it's a McLaren lockout for the podium with Andy Trickett completing in third. Meanwhile, you have Sullivan with points penalties, Bob Jones as well, and then Peter Smith to finish. But it's going to be a good season. I can already feel it. We are 43 drivers strong on track as practice is coming to an end and qualifying is about to start. We're only in round 2 here, and we've already seen this many ups and downs. So we're going to have a lot of racing ahead. It's Silverstone tonight, but Kyle Army, Panorama, Nordschleifer, and then your mid-season break before sweeping all the way to mid-July with a Suzuka finish. I am very excited for this season. Let me be clear in that. And if you've got any particular track that you're looking forward to, let us know in that live chat, anyone who's watching live. And if you are enjoying the season thus far in that inaugural round and you're looking forward to it, consider dropping a little bit of support on the stream. It goes a long way. But enough of that dilly-dallying now. We are going to be going very soon to the track where we will be seeing our set of drivers. 43 drivers out there tonight. So I think that is about the same amount as we saw last time out. And with practice officially coming to an end, we are going to go with the drivers to qualifying now. So you can see just ending the practice session. Here we go. And everyone is going to be quickly firing out. Remember, 20 minutes on the clock. That's going to be 10 minutes for the silver and bronze drivers. And then the gold cars are going to be going out in the second set of 10 minutes here in this session. So much to look forward to. And much to be excited about. I, for one, cannot wait. You can see everyone making quick file out. And first out is going to be Christian Sullivan. Looking to get out ahead of the field as soon as they can in that Huracan. Certainly going to have to bring their A game. These opening rounds are arguably some of the most important. You've got a lot riding on your shoulders, and you've got a lot of work to do to make that strong first impression. Not just for us at home, but for yourselves as well. Like, as drivers, you want to set that initial starting point, and you want to set your expectations for the season. A good performance in the first few rounds, that could tee yourself up mentally for a championship title fight. And that could be something special, especially for us at home while we watch. As we said, we have taken a couple of tweaks to the back end to hopefully get things running a little bit smoother than we had last time out. So let us know what you think, as always. And if you've got any suggestions for the format too, don't be afraid to throw those ideas in. We want to keep upgrading things, and we want to keep making the broadcasts even better for you. Sullivan is going to be leading the pack. You've got a few other drivers who wanted to get out ahead early. It's going to be Chris Wilson. You've got Robert Homer as well coming through. There's potential podiums to be fought and lost for John Mitchell. I love that retro livery so much. Stuart Holmes. And you can see us cycling through some of the different drivers on this course. Hebert P8 in the standings right now. And remember, it is early days, so we aren't going to be seeing too much of a separation in the field at this point. It's all going to be up for grabs. Even drivers who are at the mid-pack right now have the chance to really jet up in the order and have plenty of opportunities to really cut into the status quo. But here we go. This is Sullivan trying to keep a clean line through Vale and now Club as we head into the Hamilton Straight here. This is the start line that some people are very used to seeing, some not so much. Depends on what side of the motorsport aisle you fall on. But through Abbey and then Farm Curve, it's going to be a semi-technical final sector opening. Sullivan with a good tight line onto the inside. You can see sweeping through, powering out quickly as they can. A little bit of curb on the inside, but it's just carrying as much speed as possible. Now down through the Wellington Straight and into Brooklands. Nicely done. A little bit narrow to the inside there. There we are, nicely done. Sullivan's going to be our benchmark. It's a 201.622. Homer with a .805. Chris Wilson sweeps through and absolutely takes a swing. 59.7. really great initial runs here. Let's see who else is on that course and bring in their A game. You got Rich Arscombe as well, 59.965, second driver to get into the graces of the 59s. Paul Murray, Alex North, all kissing at the gates, but no such luck, sadly. Anthony Hebert is a 59.625, new fastest time. We're on board with Bob Jones now, making their way through to final couple of corners. What time are they going to be able to put on the board in that McLaren? Making their way up to line. It's a 205.732 and an invalid time, so unfortunately, no luck being afforded today. Radoslav Visharek, 0.560 in the Ferrari and a solid opener time. Remember, second in the championship thus far, so certainly looking like the driver to beat, at least in this session so far. Now, drivers don't have nearly as much time as they may be used to, as the silver and bronze runners only have 10 minutes compared to the 15 at the previous season where everyone was out on track at the same time. It's 2 sets of 10, and that is going to really snap up the chances. You're looking at 3 runs, realistically. 3 runs, and then you have to return to the pit lane. Here's Hebert now, who is on an absolute stormer of a run here, looking like a rocket in that Ferrari, making their way through Abbey now and into the final sector, 0.7 of a second up. This could be a potential run into the 58. It's all about this final sector. How can he handle it? How low can you go? Smooth runnings, an entire second up so far, but let's not jinx it here. Let's not call it too early. Down through the Wellington straight, 59.3 from Robert Homer. Can we see any improvements from Visharek as well, as they will be coming just behind Hebert here? We'll see what times they're able to push, but Hebert now through Luffield into Woodcote. Absolutely immaculate running all the way through to the final corner and up to the line. Goes so tight to the inside. You can see scrubbing every inch of track that they can, and it's a 58.5, even not on their best sector 3. They have eclipsed the current pole position of a 59.3 from Robert Homer. Absolutely looking like a rocket ship. That red Ferrari knows how to tango here at Silverstone. And Mitchell now on board with another Porsche on the course, looking quite planted. You can see that is Mr. Sullivan there on the inside, just yielding to the Porsche, who is clearly on a hot lap. Now we're going to see a lot of different times coming out here. Let's say switch the deltas on and see what we have on our plates. Half a second up for John Mitchell. 9/10 previously, down to 7/10 for Helge Olsen. It's going to be a few more runners making their way to the start-finish line in just a moment. We have a lot of cars waiting in the wings. This is going to be, realistically, the final lap for many before the changeover. So chances are slim here. They'll be able to make the most of it. Roger Dismiquez is a second up as well, so he will be potentially jumping into the the low 10s, into the 12-13 position. Mitchell, second up though, could get a 59 flat. That could put him all the way into the podium spots. Let's see what he can do. It's second place. It's a .202. Mitchell absolutely dominating in the third and final sector. Beautiful running right to the line. That was a quality run if I've ever seen one. Peter Smith on a big improvement as well. A second here can put him into the top 10. Just needs to really bring it home now. Final corners into Luffield. Power out. Don't get too skittish on the throttle though, as they make a decent exit. A little bit of time scrubbed there, not taking the aggressive line on the inside as much. It's a 2-minute .412, and it's into 13th for the McLaren. Last couple of runs here coming out. Here's Roger Dismiquez about a second up as well, so that's going to put them in P14, just behind Peter Smith, and then Andy Trickett on the back of another McLaren there. We'll have to quickly check and see who that is. I believe that is... yeah, that is going to be Craig Morrison. But now, 40 seconds remain until the rest of the field disperses onto the track. It's going to be the time rush, the gold rush for the clock. Randy Zimmer, 59.8, will get an improvement, but not enough to close a position. It's about a 10th, and they need 2 more exactly to get onto the back of Visharek, who's currently in P8, and gaining even more time. 3 tenths down. Or 3 tenths up, I should say. I always get that confused. It's technically less time, so it's down, but it's up because it's a positive movement. Always throws me, never fails. Final runs now concluding for the silver and the bronze cars. 10 minutes has officially passed, so we'll be able to see a deluge of cars. You can see on the track map right there, quickly emerging from the pit lane, and everyone is going to be quickly squabbling out. Lenatus leads in Lenatus fashion. First out on to the pit lane as soon as they can help it. They've got that pit launch down to a T. There's one thing we know him for. It's out there and being the first to set a time in their respective group. Last couple of drivers onto their finish line now from silver and bronze, though. Bob Jones comes up to the line, 202.270. What's that going to become? It's going to become a 1.597. So into P19, you get Roger Dismukes as well into P13, and then Rich Arscombe. Last car of this set before it is purely gold car running from this point out. Advantage to the line. Good final push. 2 tenths up. That's going to be into P4. That's a solid improvement from the number 76. But now it's going to be a quick rush to start the next laps here. You can see already a drag race happening. That's going to be between Lindblom and Lenatus right now. That ARTA NSX. I'll say big fan of the livery. And you can even see he's going to be backing off. Going to be backing off, letting him get a bit of space. I think he wants to make sure that he's uninterrupted in terms of aero. His car needs to be fully predictable. You want to get yourself a bit of room on the track, but here we go. Starting the lap now. Lenatus is going to be a bit further ahead, so let's jump aboard and see what he's got. Now, into Maggots Beckett's Chapel Curve. Conserve your speed as much as you can through this section, because keeping a smooth line is going to be the name of the game. Nicely done there by the Audi, and now into the Hangar Straight. Under the bridge. You see about 250 kilometers an hour just before you jump on the brakes there, pushing into one of the sort of higher speed corners of the track, about 140 kilometer with a perfect line. And pouncing on the brakes once again into Vale and Club. Careful of the inside curbs. Oh, a little bit of grass, and you can see there exactly what happens if you take a bit too aggressive of an inside line. You can skip the rear, you can get that car very unstable. That is going to be a red mark against the lap here of Lenatus, but it's still valid, so let's see what he can make of it. He's still going to be able to have a salvageable lap, even if he has to go out one more time. The number 12 Audi, now coming into the final sector, is going to be through Village and then the loop before pushing on the outer line into Aintree. So you just sweep in as much speed as they can out on that wider exit. You can see Lindblom just in the background taking actually a much wider line than the Audi. I think that skip over the curbs kind of spooked him a little bit, but he doesn't want to push as hard as he maybe would on a perfect run. Lenatus, regardless, though, remains committed right to the edge of the outer curb on the penultimate corner. It's going to be Lenatus coming through to set the initial bar for the gold group, and it is going to be a 59.195. Lindblom comes through 57. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 57 and a 57.9 from Gayamar as well to keep that momentum. what do you even say to these lap times? It's just the gold class absolutely has earned their place. You can tell right now. Let's look at the times. You can see Lindblom is still pushing and trying to get faster. GMR is going for it as well. Dave Marsh, 58.440 in the third position. Björklund is going to be a 58.915. Ostrich Charles a 59 flat. Few more cars now need to go through. You've got 7 cars remaining. Make that 6, as there is still time for a lot of people to go out. Is Hamby returning to the Lamborghini in the number 84. I have missed that livery. I know we said it last round, but it bears repeating. Hamby in a Lambo, you can't beat it. It's GMR. Look at the push, look at the time. This is going to be potentially a 57.5. They just continue to push the bar. Excellently run, well executed second sector, final sector now. AMR is half a second up. I don't even know how to realistically process this. Wolfslener just came in with a 58.3. Dave Marsh is pushing for more time as well. Lindblom's going to back off and is going to make this lap the run to remember for them. They're going to go for that second full push. I think just conserving the resources. Tucks in behind GMR with a couple of seconds to not get any dirty airflow. GMR to the inside line, and it is a 0.457. Best Sector 1, even losing time on the Sector 3, they still have a new fastest. That is insane right there. Holmberg, 58.102 in the Mustang. Wolfpack team, of course, really bringing their A game as well. Multiple entrants at the sharp end of the field. Björklund is going to be in 5th, as we just had Dave Marsh going to 3rd, 58.0. See, I will say as well on the design aspect, the Wolfpack team having that synchronicity between the liveries always gets me bonus points. You can tell they're part of the same team, but everyone has their own spin on the design. So kudos to everyone involved with that. See, GMR is teetering on getting even faster. I think the main thing for them is that Sector 3. They lost a bit of time on Sector 3 there. Crucial couple of hundredths, crucial 10th here or there. That could really link it up. Currently a 10th up in the timing deltas. You can see on your screens, 2 minute 45 left to go in the session. So that's 2 laps at a push and 1 final lap to throw it all in and commit 110% to. See what he does now. A little bit of time loss, unfortunately. They went through Loop and Aintree. I don't think this run's going to be the one, but GMR can still conserve his speed, conserve his energy for the final lap here, because at this point, you're not going to get a chance to go to the pits and then back out again. This has to be the one. This next run has to be it. We've crossed over the 2 minute threshold. So realistically, a lot of drivers are looking to make this run their final shot at a position. Lindblom is going to be going off the side of the track. I don't think he's going to be going again. He's going to go to the pit lane. It's not going to be a second attempt by the looks of things. It's not going to have enough time to get back round. So Lindblom is going to miss out on pole. Oh no, GMR has just gone too deep into the chapel curve and is going to likely be retiring out. Stays on the grass as to not impede. Oscari Herme as well in the LSX has just swept through and up. They're going to be in P3 right now. They did that a moment ago. Marsh currently P4 trying to push 2, but a bit of a wobble on the exit of Beckett's there. Last chances, James Payton, P15, now going into P9. Top 10 run for the Mercedes-AMG, 58.495. You can see a lot of the top runners are in the pits now, so they've decided that that is enough. They're not going to be overdoing it in this stage of the session. It's a bit too late to call. And with that, last few drivers are making their way. Wolfslener is running dead even. Don't know if they're going to be seeing an improvement this session out, but Hellstrom is a half-second up. So we're going to keep an eye on the number 660 Mustang as they make their way down. Wolfslener is going to get a 0.540. That is going to mark the potentially last lap for them, unless they still are committed. Looks like they might still be committed. That is Hermé Homburg in the pits too. Dave Marsh is going to be down, but I don't think he's going to be able to make it to the start-finish line in time. The clock has elapsed. This is final runs for everyone now. It's a last shootout. Justin Cutler, P12 in the Nismo, now making their way up to the line, running equal on their Delta up to the final corner there. 0.552. It's 12 seconds shy of an improvement, unfortunately, for them. Hellstrom, though, has remained consistent in their improvement. A little bit wider of a run than they would like on the final corners, but it's still going to be an improvement. It's up to P13. Just slides it past Damien Reed here. Final run for McNair as well. Top 10 spots on the line. 0.495 to beat. It's going to be a P8 spot. So just jumps up that crucial little bit there. Nicely done. Peyton as well going for a final run here too. Second to last car to do so. Is going to get to the line, but is 2 milliseconds shy of an improvement. 0.497, their best was a 0.495. The margins you can't make up. You can't write this in a show. You'd say it's too fantastical. Wolfslener, final runner, 0.5 seconds in the 196 Mustang. A good finish here could get them into podium placement coming out of quali. But a little bit of a time loss here in the final sector. 2/10 now for that Delta. Will it be enough to jump into the top 5? Let's see. It's a P6 though. Not quite there. And that is going to do it. So let's take your class roundup. It's 208 Mustang of Frederick Guillemard. 0.457. 57.457. Absolutely brilliant run. Lindblom, despite best efforts, wasn't able to get that golden run this time. So they are going to be resigning themselves to P2 in the quali standings, followed by Oskari Hermé, also in the NSX in the 169. And by the way, Minecraft movie livery, I respect it. I respect it. I like the vibe. I think it's all very nice. I mean, he had a Transformers 1 livery last time out, so I think this is keeping in theme, and I'm a fan. Moving down to the silvers, it's Anthony Hebert who continues to impress on the silver category. 58.537. We know this driver really has the pace. Now it's about converting it. Let's see how they do. Vishrek is going to keep in theme and make second their best position to keep always. Second in the standings, second in quali for silver, and then John Mitchell into third in that beautiful Retro Rothmans livery in the 24. Finally, you have the bronzes, and that is going to be going down to Craig Niesbet in the McLaren with a 2-minute 0.175 time, followed by Roger Dismiquez in the number 420 Porsche with a 0.370, and finally you have Peter Smith. We're going to take the full track walk in just a second, folks, but of course, let's know what you thought of that qualifying, because that was something special. I mean, the initial surprise of seeing those times, that really threw me. Just the amount of push coming right out of the gate. That was something else entirely. But here we go. Let's go with the racers. Let's see what they have in store for us. And let's take a walk across the field. Starting to the front, it's going to be Frederick Guillemard in the 208 Mustang. As said, followed closely by 888 Acura or Honda NSX of Lindblom. Hermé also in the NSX in the 169, and then Dave Marsh completes row 2 in the 27 Porsche. Holmberg in the 231 Mustang, closely followed by another Mustang, this time the 196 of Peter Wolfslener. In row 3 with Björklund and Colin McNair in the 444 Mustang and 13 Nismo respectively. I love the Iron Brew livery, by the way. Finally, the top 10 is going to be concluded by Adam Ostrachaz in the 74 BMW and the 248 Mercedes of James Payton. Row 6, now Anthony Hebert, leader of Silver, followed closely by Justin Cutler, and 3 milliseconds splitting the two in qualifying. 28 Ferrari and 35 Nismo. 660 Mustang, that's going to be Tommy Hellstrom with Damien Reed in the Lexus, number 979 and looking fly. P15 is going to go to Thomas Lenatus and then Dan Whitehouse in the number 12 Audi and 176 Ferrari with that retro Vodafone livery as well. Bonus points there. Vishrek in the 4 Ferrari and John Mitchell in the 24 Porsche. Complete row 9 with row 10 going to Rich Arscombe in the number 76 Vantage, paired up with another Aston, this time the 207 of Alex North. Row 11 is going to be Chris Wilson in the 49 Vantage as well. You've got the trio of British Heritage with the number 6 Porsche of Robert Homer in 20 seconds. 23rd is going to go to Paul Murray in the number 90 Pepsi McLaren and the number 11 Ferrari of Neil Mellon, aka Exploding Cable. 141 Randy Zimmer in 25th with Paul Hamby in the number 84 Lambo. Hambo in a Lambo makes a grand return. 261 of Peter Martin and the 331 of Craig Nisbet make the 27th and 28th spots. Row 15 or 20 of Roger Dismukes, and then Iro is going to be in the 992 Porsche, looking sharp as ever. 31st and 32nd is going to be McLaren's this time. It's the 113 of Peter Smith and the number 115 of Andy Trickett, followed by Renato Ribeiro in the 159 and Richard Colomb, also a row of McLaren's in the number 774. Bob Jones in the 808 McLaren as well, with Christian Sullivan lining up alongside in the beautiful chrome blue 41 Lamborghini. Number 2 of Stuart Holmes in 37, Craig Morrison in P38 with the 213 McLaren Shadow, and then the McLaren Mercedes Patronus livery, the 404 of Andy Newman, 97 of Michael Ball, and then Helge Olsen in the 949 Lamborghini with John Gabbett alongside in P42. Final runs now, it's Rick Quinkellenberg in the 23 Ferrari. It's going to be the 15 of David Drury. And then finally, rounding things out, it's going to be Richard Cook in the 182 Mustang. There we are, folks, though. That is your grid walk. And you can see everyone is now out on formation. Key things to note before we go into the race. 60 minutes, no regulated pit window. However, there is a mandatory fuel stop. Tyres are optional, as you know, and that will play a strategic factor. Do you go for a splash and dash at the end? Do you try to conserve and then save time by not going for a tyre stop? Or are you going to do something in the middle? Go for a half-hour split stint. Try to optimize as much as you can. Carry as minimal fuel as possible. Save that weight. Or do you carry a bit more fuel to make sure that you can fight hard? Liam Blom going to be pushing around a little bit and then try to get those brakes warmed up. Stomps on them before returning to their rightful spot in P2 for the now. Although we could see that quickly change as the session progresses. You know that Liam Blom's a driver who likes to get the elbows out early, get that early dominance, and then push forward with the space they have on track. Everyone will be feeling the pressure as the session is going to be a tense one. You had so much chaos in the initial round of the season that everyone is kind of coming into this one with bated breath. Nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen, and the big question mark on everyone's mind is, will this race go as planned, or will we see a absolutely chaotic one? We're about to find out. Of course, as well, if you are enjoying the show, enjoying what you see right in front of your screens, let us know by dropping us potentially a like on the stream. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to get involved yourselves. We've got the Facebook group as well as the Discord once all is said and done. But enough jibber jabber. It's time to go racing one more time. Round 2 of the Sim Seniors Season 9 Championship is about to get underway. Everyone's going to be lining up double file. We're on board with the leader, pole position holder, and currently the driver to beat alongside main rival Liam Blom. Let's see what they've got in store, and let's see what is going to kick off. Let's go to the helicam, capture as much as we can. Crossing the line, race control about to give the call. The track is hot for round 2, and green light, away we go immediately. Chaos is about to erupt. Let's see what we have on store for us here. We can see already that's contact. Damien Reed getting a bit of a tap in the back, but managing to catch it. We can just see in the course of the session. It's going to be a couple of incidents there. It's going to be streaming their way down the field. It's 2 wide. It's 3 wide. Looking further down, you can see Richard Cook. That's going to be on the left, and everyone is just fighting as hard as they can to get those early positions. Even with a detune, it's tough to keep up with just so much action. Even up at the top, it's going to be a fight immediately out of the gates. It's going to be Gayamark feeling so much pressure. Liam Blom on the left. That's going to be Herme just behind as well, trying to snap up any chance they get. Let these two fight and then snap up like a vulture. Make their way through and collect the spoils. Gaimar already on the defensive and on high alert as McNair has managed to gain big time. It's going to be in P5 for them, and they will be a little bit separated, but that's not going to stop them from going on the attack. Liam Blum so close to the back here. And you can see trying to go for that switchback. Got a much better send out on the exit of Abbey and into Farm Curb. They're going to go for the inside line, but that's going to be a closed door by the count of the Mustang. Side by side, though, he's not done yet. Trying to go switchback after switchback, trying to compromise and change the opponent's line at the same time as capitalizing on theirs, but it's kind of left out to dry. Goes a bit wide, and Herme is actually there to put some pressure on him now. Really feeling that fight already. Looks like we have got a couple of issues down further on the grid. Looks like there has been a major problem. There's Alex North rotated completely and is going to be dropped off the back of the field. This is not looking good for them. We'll take, of course, a review of the session's accident that we can in a moment. But as it currently stands, everyone's just trying to get that initial push done and trying to get some space on that course so they're not having to fight tooth and nail just for the right to breathe. The Hellstrom is really coming in hot. James Payton having to go on the defensive. They're trying to go side by side into Maggots and Beckett's. That's going to be a risky one. That's going to be Payton off onto the infield. Returns and make contact as well with Hellstrom. Payton is not having a good time here. They're going to be completely off the field and into the grass. Just rejoining on the start of the hangar straight all the way down behind Lenatus and now Visharek along with Damien Reed as they go 3 wide now into Stowe. See, Visharek and Reed still not giving each other a break. Look at them. They're trying to go close, trying to go wide, trying to predict and read each other's movements as quickly as they can. Having to make all these decisions in the space of milliseconds. Tenths mean all the difference, not just behind the wheel, but behind the mind as well. It's the mind games. It's the predicting of your opponents. That's going to make a major dent in their efforts, and it's going to really be a boost to yours if you can read what they're doing and get out ahead. Marsh in P7 has got a pocket of the track of his own. He's just trying to establish himself and get into a rhythm. That's really what this is about as well. Get into a rhythm as much as you can, as everyone will now be challenging each other for the space on the course. Is McNair trying to peek around the outside of Wolfslener. Not going to be materializing into a move, but certainly going to be a push to try and get him unsettled. Not even 5 minutes in, and this is already everything that is erupted on the track. I think we've already seen a pit stop. That's going to be for Alex and North there, so they will be thoroughly away from the rest of the order. They might be able to really extend towards the end and get some time back, but That's going to be a high-risk, high-reward play. I think they're still going to have a second stop in the tank, by any rate. Let's take a bit of a review of the initial chaos that we saw at the start of the race. Let's jump a bit time back. This is going to be all the way down. This is going to be Christian Sullivan's POV as we are on board the helicopter. We do see one of the McLarens go a little bit wide, and I think we're going to see exactly how chaos erupted at the back. So Christian Sullivan, and just major contact towards the back, and that luckily didn't result in any major casualties. I thought that was a big issue there. We did see a couple of cars flying off track. It seems to have been relatively harmless. Hamby with a sweep and a swipe of position into P22. Hamby's got a bit of work to do to catch up to the rest of the drivers in the gold class, but he has made some steady progress thus far. Hero as well is going to be going through on Neil Mellon, as Mellon took a bit of a suboptimal line heading into club. Hayton, meanwhile, certainly on the recovery drive. They did get side by side and were off in the Maggots and Beckett's complex. But now through Village, trying to get onto the back of Visharek. That's going to be their primary target. Back on board with Colin as well now in P5. And certainly is going to continue to try and pressure Wolfslenner into making a mistake. About half a second adrift. We also have a bit of infighting towards the back end of the pack. We'll check in with them momentarily, as further down there is going to be squabbles and we're dealing with the aftermath of some of the earlier collisions. The Björklund as well will be one to watch as they are trying to chase Dave Marsh down. You can see that sea of Mustangs. I've got to say, upon further inspections, it looks like the Wolfpack outfit has a certain affinity for a certain American manufacturer who likes V8. Just stating my observations, if you will. We've got Damien Reed on the back of Lenatus. I will say Lenatus is in a bit of a tight spot because they have got a lot to prove. They did have a very strong performance in the prior season and had a bit of a middling one in the first round of this season. Of course, being moved upper class following their performance in Season 8, but feeling that pressure. Most importantly, they've got to make up a negative points deficit. They are currently in the negatives, so he's got some work to do. He needs to get these good positions here. He wants to make it out and into a fighting position. But meanwhile, McNair, speaking of fighting, is going to be right alongside, heading down into Brooklands. Going to be right alongside Wolfslenner and really mounting that pressure up. I wouldn't expect all of these moves to land, but even if you can just get alongside for a moment and then tail back, that is going to be a hugely beneficial strategy. You will see benefits by just unsettling your opponent. Again, mind games. Play on the mind of your competitor, and when they crack, you are there to strike. Cutler is going to be heading into the pit lane, so he will be dropping down the order and most likely joining the likes of North at the back of the field. Although, like with North, it will be a chance for him to get some running in relatively clean air. We're going to see Holmberg and Marsh go for a bit of a dual mono-a-mono. Björklund is also there. The two Mustangs on the back of the Porsche. Marsh currently in P6, and on the defense, it looks like we have had a major issue. That's going to be a collision between the Natus and Reed. I'm going to review exactly what that is in just a moment. We also have contact between Cook and Zimmer, but let's see exactly what happened with... We're going to jump on board. This is going to be Richard Cook and Randy Zimmer. I'm going to see if there is anything serious going on there. See, heading into the corner. Just a little bit of a tap. Actually goes wide in the end, so Cook not actually coming out favourably of that one, despite initial impressions. But let's also take a look back. This is going to be Lenatus v. Reed in a similar state of the track. So you can see this is Lenatus now on the defensive. Reed is going to be there. You can see, and oh no, that is Reed actually taking quite a impact and slide as a result. Not looking the best for him. Also have John Gabbert going off to the inside. I think that's the loop there. I think just miscalculating the corner, maybe getting a bit of lift off oversteer. Returns to the track in P43. We will see Colom rejoining the track as well. I think they had a bit of contact with Newman. Or at least something has happened. There was an accident indication with Newman just a moment ago. I think that was, in fact, looking at see, it's between that and the 21 car, so it leads me to believe that it was between himself and Gabbert. That's what caused him down into the 40s. So, rather than being a mistake, looks like there was a bit of an altercation. Whitehouse on the inside of Mitchell now into P16. Looking to get himself back up to the rest of the gold class runners, and with a smooth overtake, no less, on the Porsche number 24. We also have Björklund as well going for some fights of their own. You can see Holmberg is going to be behind. Marsh has actually got away substantially from these two. Previously, they were right on the back of the number 27, but it seems the Wolfpack is fighting within itself. We are just about 10 minutes over the line, and so far, initial impressions are looking pretty chaotic. We have Guillemot, who is about half a second away from Lindblom, and themselves a second away from Oscar Herme. Heather continues to be the class leader for Silver, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Look at him go. P10 right now on track. Visharek also keeping consistent and in P13, but second for Silver here as well, with John Mitchell in P3 for Silver and P17 overall. Looking down further to the likes of the bronzes, it's going to be Niesbeck continuing to lead, and actually on the back of Peter Martin, so looking to punch into a different weight class here, as there's going to be Richard Cook heading into the pits, making the third driver to do so in this session. Relatively early pit stops for some. Whether that's responding to incident or if there is an issue going on that is more than meets the eye, we'll find out in due course. Everyone is going to be gaining pretty free positions. Cook relinquishing, although they may get that time back later on. I can't hedge the bets just yet. Niesbeck, Dismukes and Smith make your top three for bronze thus far. Looks like there is already fighting once again. And we will simultaneously keep a sharp eye to the front of the field, as at any moment the fight between Lindblom and Guillemot could ignite in a major way. Holmberg still on the back of Björklund. These two Wolfpack cars will be continuing to challenge each other. You can see Holmberg even pushing right to the edge there, struggling on the farm curve and heading into Village now. Struggling to keep that pace and keep it on the ragged edge. You see, there's going to be Wolfslander going super defensive right to the inside on the Wellington Straight as they head into Brooklands here. The Nismo is, of course, continuing their onslaught of attacks. It's to the right, it's to the left. It is unrelenting from this Nismo. The number 13 continuing to be a thorn in the Mustang's side. Even though Dave Marsh has now got involved as well, Wolfslander is 8 seconds behind Oscari due to the amount of fight that these two have got going on, and Marsh is now in the squabble as well. This could very quickly become a trifecta of cars all trying to get themselves at the doorway of the podium. Now, we do have the individual classes fighting for each other, so podium for one car could mean something different to another. But you're still sharing the track with everyone, like it or not. So if you've got a different class car standing between you and the rest of your field, you still got to fight them. You still got to get past them. And different classes does not mean automatic blue flags. It's only blue flags if they're a lap down. We do have a couple of local yellows coming out around the second or third sector, just trying to get an exact confirmation. A couple of local yellows will be flashing up and down. So I think a couple of drivers have struggled with some of these corners, and you can very easily get some of these corners wrong, particularly the more condensed complexes. Getting that car stable and rotating the way you want while retaining pace, it's always a challenge. Ayton, for example, on the back of Reed, trying to do a bit of a recovery following their earlier issues on the course. Reed will be... I don't know if they're frustrated still about the little altercation with Linatus, but they're going to be finding their zen again. Not for long, but just trying to get a foothold on the track and keep the other drivers at bay. "15 minutes in and things are looking frenetic, but looking to the top of the field, Liam Blom has pulled that gap between himself and Guillemot up into the half-second territory. This is the danger zone. For Guillemot, he's now going to have to be on his toes. He's got that... I keep wanting to say Acura. But they got the Honda NSX in their rear view mirror now. Liam Blom is teetering right at the edge of half of a second. But the crucial thing is consistency. Guillemot can keep consistently good times and not drop anything major to Liam Blom. Like, look at their last and best times, for example. Last lap, 0.727. Liam Blom's 0.732. 5 milliseconds between these two cars. That is immense levels of parity. That is a blink of an eye, and you've had one time compared to the other. Even on their best times, 0.935 for Guillemot and 0.960 for Liam Blom. In fact, Oscari Herme is the driver with the fastest, with a 0.907. With 57.907, fastest lap on the course so far from Oscari in the 169 Minecraft NSX, which we shall henceforth be dubbing it for the foreseeable future. You got the ARCA NSX and you got the Minecraft NSX. Pick your side. Looking sharp and looking fast in the top three. Homer on the back of Arscombe, who is actually going for a bit of a sweep to the inside. They've got Alex North, who is observing blue flags, and they both need to get round in a relatively fast fashion. Hamby also waiting in the wings, but Homer is going to be trying their best to close in onto the Vantage just slightly up ahead. They've got a couple of tenths between them. A good corner here could serve them very well. Going much narrower than the Vantage, trying to really optimize those lines, where it's consistently gone much wider. Actually having to back off. That's going to hurt the exit speed of the number 6, as they're all trying to get their way around this track quick and not get themselves into any trouble. McNair will still be chasing Wolfslener, and we'll check in with those two in a moment. I have to respect the dedication, if nothing else. Just the insane commitment to trying to get past that other car. But, of course, sportsmanship is still the name of the game. He's not going to send it if there isn't an appropriate chance to. See McNair going to the left side, signalling his intentions, making it clear, not moving under braking. And even if it doesn't get the move, he signaled his intent and has done so already with several attacks now. You can see both of them now going down the Hamilton straight, trying to duke the other out. them trying to read each other's movements. This is what goes back in... This is going back into what we were saying earlier. I will always be super into the mental fights. The fights behind the fights, as it were. For every battle on track and on four wheels, there is going to be a battle of mental fortitude, of strategic thinking, of setting up your chess pieces to later execute. I mean, we often see it in multi-class racing. Drivers will use other car classes as a means to set up their own moves. If they know they've got slower traffic and they're going to be coming into turn 7 soon, it can set them up in a way to where that slower traffic will bring their opponent within striking distance. It's those little moves like that. It's such an appreciation for it. It's part of what makes racing an art form. Because it really is art in motion in its own right. Whitehouse on the back of Reed, for example. You can read this from two different angles. That pun was completely unintentional, but we're gonna roll with it. Looking at the 979 and Peyton up the road too. It's all the little decisions. It's wondering whether Reed is going to be chasing Peyton or whether he's going to be playing it safe. Is he going to be trying to close the gap? Will he go defensive? He tries to bring it in. How much time will he be able to gain through the Hangar Straight? Where is he going to go? Is he going to go for an early or late apex? And it's all these things you're trying to read from your opponent while trying to balance your own car. That's why I also have a big appreciation for those who choose to engineer or take supporting roles during a race. Because the driver can bring their A game to the track, or you can help them strategize and take some load off. Trickett coming to the back of Craig Morrison. P30 fight. Separate classes, but fight just as valid. 20 minutes deep. And we will soon see a lot of cars, I think, head into the pits. We tend to see most of the field start to consider this time window between the 35 and 25 minute marks on that timer. That seems to be the Goldilocks zone for many cars. Nobody wants to push too aggressively to either side of that, because then you run the risk of your tyres going crazy and losing all grip, or you run the risk of your strategy being too risky for the reward. Oh no, that's a corner gone wrong for Arscombe. He's gone too deep into Brooklands. He's going to return onto the apex, but he's going to return slow. Not to mention his tyres are going to be dirty. So he's actually holding up Paul Murray, who's taken to the gravel as a result. Both drivers having a equally difficult Sector 3. Both going off for different reasons. Arscombe hopefully getting those tyres clean nice and quick so he can get back to optimal grip, especially as we're coming up to Maggots and Beckett's now. He's got to have all the mechanical grip he can get at his disposal. He's really just not carrying the same amount of pace as he was hoping for. That rear actually looks really bouncy for some reason. Maybe that's just a trick of the eyes. Well, looks like we got Andy Newman, though. Down at the bottom, P42. But having to take a slow rejoin following an off. It's going to be down the Wellington Straight. See the drag race, Chris Wilson and Peter Smith now. Goes a little bit deep, the advantage is, and the McLaren's going to go for the switchback, the 113. It's not going to be quite enough, though. Wilson will still have the apex into Vale and Club, and with a smooth execution of the corner and the surrounding chicane, Wilson is up into P28 now. Rich Arscombe as well has gone off the track yet again. This time it's going to be on the approach to Village and the Loop. So something is indicating to me there is an issue with the grip on that Vantage. It doesn't seem to be holding as well through the corners. Either that or he's just pushing it too far and he needs to reel it in. Cast our eyes to the front once again. And now with a renewed focus, Liam Blom is on the back of KMR. We are 25 minutes into the race, and so far the front of the field has remained fairly static, which we don't tend to see in terms of certainly this field. We do at least see some altercations and a bit of back and forth with some of the lower top positions, if that makes sense. But it has been very static until maybe now. We've had McNair continue to push on Wolfslander, but that fighting seems to have subsided for the most part, as I think they've both acknowledged the amount of time they've lost. In the time that we last checked in on them, they have brought out another 3.5 seconds from themselves and Hermé. So there isn't the time being gained anymore. It's just losses after losses, and that's reeling in not only McNair, but Marsh, Björklund, potentially Holmberg if this keeps up. You got to acknowledge the situation, cut your losses. At some stage, you have to agree almost to work together as racers. We'll also see the likes of Whitehouse come to the back of Damien Reed. He's been there for a little bit now, but it really will be soon time to go on the offensive. As you can watch, he's taken multiple different lines, taking multiple different approaches. Whitehouse trying to get a better exit out onto the Wellington Straight and really trying to close that gap to Reed here. Looks like the Lexus is going to have a little bit of pull in comparison to the Ferrari down the straight, but will they be able to carry that same speed through the rotations of the circuit? The Ferrari getting much closer, really zeroing in to the rear bumper of the 979 as they come out of Luffield and into Woodcote to finish the lap. They'll be going on to lap 13 now. I'll say, if there is going to be chances and places to be had, it's going to be now. I think time is of the essence, because soon you are going to see a major paradigm shift with the pit stop. Homer is going to be one of the next cars to head into the pits. Cutler, Cook, Ball, North, Drury and Quinkellenberg have all taken stops in by this point. Craig Morrison's going to jump in too. So we are going to start seeing that cascade. Ours will soon be joining in and will be coming to the pit in due course. Morrison and Homer both in, but Homer coming out fast, coming out into P38 on the track. Be a quickly changing one. Looks like Michael Ball's running very slow on the course. I wonder what happened. He might have gone off the track, but they're still going to be pushing hard. It's like taking a very narrow line and going off the racing line quite substantially. Bit of scraping on those sausage curbs, taking a bit too hot there. You can see, observing the blue flags, so sportsmanship of course being key. Oh, looks like there is another car off to the side. That's the number 404 of Newman. Again, yielding off. Looks like Richard Cook is going to be stopped on the side of the track and is going to be out of the session. Trying to get an exact confirm on what happened there. Yeah, that is Richard Cook confirmed out of the session, folks. So we are down a driver since the start. And then we will be soon going on to the second half of the race. It's going to be a fight of both quiet and loud, as we will at the same time as having drivers go for full-scale battles like Holmes on Jones. Ooh, actually making a bit of contact, going quite hot. Number 2 on the 808 here. As much as it will be a battle of full-bore, large-scale battles, it's also going to be a tale of attrition. It's going to be a tale of biding your time, keeping it calm, and most importantly, keeping a level head. You don't want to get swept up in fighting, because then you'll have a situation like Wolfslander and McNair. For as much as they kept in proximity, they have dropped so much time to Hermé and the others in the top 3 that it is almost impossible to peel that back now into a challenge. Wolfslander is going to be inheriting the P3 position, however, owing to Hermé now going into the pits. Meaning that there will be a brief taste of the podium seats, or the podium stand, if you want to call it. Hermé, Björklund, Hellstrom, Linatus, Whitehouse, all into the pit. And racing in there as fast as they can. You can see braking as soon as physically possible to get under that pit limiter. Even Hamby, you'd see in the background, Zimmer and Melon will be joining them, and all of a sudden, this is what we are saying, Cascade is a deluge of cars. Peter Martin also jumping in. This is the optimal moment, technically, for drivers to be going into the pits. Contact between Morrison and Trickett in the back end of the field. We also see Holmberg really closing in hot on Bob Jones, and is going to be taking a position off them. It's going to be P28 for them there, but also, crucially, they are the furthest ahead out of everyone who has taken a pit stop. Now, the furthest ahead, and that is confirmed. Although, actually, no, make that second furthest ahead. Hermé has just come out, and that is going to be them in P15, so it won't be under much, if any, pressure, actually, given all the rest of their competition is, well, either much further ahead, having get pitted, much further behind, having pitted and realizing the amount of time that has been lost to fights. Throughout all of this, Gaimar and Lindblom still running very close, within a second of each other, and still nobody is going to yield. Neither car is going to yield to the other, as we are across the halfway mark, and Wolfslander will be waiting in the wings to see if they can potentially get any kind of gap on McNair. 15.5 seconds, but Hermé no longer in the picture till the other side. See Ostrachard, Heber and Payton all jumping into the pits simultaneously as well, so that's going to be the next set of cars now coming through. Majority of the field has taken their mandatory pit stop at this stage. It is a case of now the outliers rather than the majority. This is going to be a last minute dash to the pit lane, and I think honestly, once everyone is settled, whoever goes into the pits first is going to lead for everyone else behind them. The big thing is you lead the race and you also control your competitors. They're going to want to match you, and they're going to try and keep in close quarters just as a benchmark. And much love to everyone as well. See you popping up in the live chat there. This is Assetto Corsa Competizione. This is the Season 9 Championship. Over 40 cars on track, 10 race season, all the way from May to July. Hey guys, race while I'm at work. Oh, sorry for the bad timing. I do apologise with bad timings. They can't be helped sometimes, with everyone all around the world getting involved. Here goes Gaimar. Lindblom, you can see, sweeps into the pit lane. Watches Gaimar go for a later entry. And, oh, okay, Lindblom being very cheeky there. You can see him try and get past and squeeze every ounce of distance into the pit lane. That was a cheeky move. That's how you know you're dealing with a racer who really knows how to race to the limit. Even in the pit lane is a drag strip. until it isn't. Just a bit of a time update as well. We have got a drive-through for the number 11 that has just been cleared. So that is Neil Mellon, and that's why they currently have 2 stops on their record. They had to clear that drive-through. They're now sat in P31. So, last couple of cars yet to go in. Rich Alscombe, who has just gone into the pit lane. We see Chris Wilson as well now going through. In fact, only racer yet to do so is going to be none other than Colin McNair. Remember, Colin was pushing hard on Wolfslenner, and I think is trying to make the most of the clean air now. They had such a almighty scrap with Wolfslenner that it did lose them a ton of time, and I think even just running in a couple of laps for clean air is going to pay off massively here for him. Liam Blom, meanwhile, just coming out into the 4 and actually coming out ahead, as Guillemard is going to be behind Oscari. They've managed to undercut, or, well, is it technically an undercut? Because they did chase up a lot of time into the pit lane entrance. Either way, Guillemard is behind Oscari and Liam Blom. Now, Liam Blom is 2 seconds ahead of Herme in the 169 and is going to be currently the provisional leader of the race. McNair will still be in P1, but he is yet to take his pit stop, so it's not truly representative. We have lost another car as well. We have confirmed we have lost Andy Newman, so that is going to be another retirement. We're down to now 43 racers. Here we go. There's McNair now jumping into the pits. Final car to do so. Now, everyone has taken their mandatories. Unless there's a fuel miscalculation or a penalty, the pit lane is effectively closed. We just had pit stops coming in for pretty much everyone all at once. We've also had some stop-and-go penalties that are being administered. So, we had previously, that was Neil Mellon, but we also had drive-throughs. Not drive-through, stop-and-go penalties for the number 2, that is Stuart Holmes. We have also for the number 774, that's Richard Coulomb. And the stop-and-go for the number 28, that is Anthony Hebert. So Hebert's race has quickly gone up and down, as what was an extremely strong starting position has now been laid to ruin by a certain event. McNair out of the pits. Where are they going to emerge? Are they going to be ahead or behind of Wolfslenner? Comes out here and tries to chase out the spot. See, where is Wolfslenner coming in? You can see McNair is going to be out ahead. There is the white dot of Wolfslenner in the back line. They've managed to overcut the Mustang and get themselves into P4. And with the later stint, this is also going to mean they are going to have a home free run to push that car much harder. Silverstone's taxing on the tyres, particularly the lefts. So you're going to have to be careful of the management, but the newer the tyres you get, the later in the race, the more you can afford to go fast and loose. Take the reins and start to loosen some of the chains on that car. Now, this is what made splash and dash strategies so powerful in previous seasons. You were able to, sort of meter out and regulate your position, regulate your car all the way through the majority of the race, but come to the final 10 minutes, you get that car as ready to go as you can, as quickly as you can in the pits. You get those tyres swapped, you get the fuel topped off to the absolute minimum, and then you just go all in. Minimal weight, maximum grip. It is effectively qualifying at the end of the race. See John Gabbett dropping behind Bob Jones, but Hebert is looking to make up for lost time owing to the stop and go. So we're on back at Christian Sullivan now, and they're trying to get past some of the bronze class drivers denoted in red. 20 minutes to go. There's still plenty of time for most battles to see themselves through, but if you're looking to make larger gains This is where you're going to have to start making some judgment calls. Like Hermé, 1.7 seconds behind Liam Blom. We've also got, I think that's Alex North right there, who is splitting the two. It's a balancing act as always. And I'll go back to what I've said in previous seasons and rounds. When you get to the final stage of the race, you are metering out your options. You are making a judgment call whether you want to go aggressive to pull back time at the risk of potentially overdriving the car, compromising a strategy, or even running out of fuel. Or do you go defensive, lock in your position, but potentially leave yourself open if you go too safe to ongoing attackers? Like, Hermé is in really the middle position. He could go either way. He tries to gain time and makes a mistake. Going to be right open to Guillemard. If he goes too gentle, Guillemard's going to be right there as well, because we know that they are a ruthlessly fast driver. They can go toe-to-toe with the best in this series. And we have had that proven time and time again. There's a reason that they were successful. They had such a successful campaign, even if they didn't win the championship last time out. That consistency and that ability to push and match speaks volumes. You can say the same for a lot of the drivers on this field. Looking around as well, we have Hamby currently on the back of, two different classes, but two drivers just racing hard as they always would. With a little bit of a mistake, goes a bit too hot onto the approach, and is going to be taking a compromise in the 992 as they are now down into P21. Hamby is up and on one step closer to reuniting with a lot of the other drivers in gold. Whitehouse is going to be pretty close to the back of Mitchell. Now, don't go for the attack. Don't do it just yet, Whitehouse. You're not going to get much success through Maggots and Beckett's. Bide your time. Get the hanger straight. It's not just about, and this is a sort of key separator for good versus great racing drivers, it's not about having the pace to go for the move, or not entirely. It's about knowing when to make the move and where that's going to leave you. Like Whitehouse biding his time, going for the hanger straight, rather than trying to send it into Maggots and Beckett's. That's why he currently stands here successfully having made the overtake, rather than in the off of the track, rather than the gravel or the runoff. There's a valid point being made about the BOP and how the Mustang is a particularly strong choice. Now, I know early days when the Mustang came out, it certainly was a extremely potent option. And even now, it tends to be a favorite among many. Now, there is still a lot of variability in the field. We can see right here we're being led by an NSX. And Mustangs, despite being popular, are fairly displaced around the fields. For as much as we do see the Mustangs right here, for example, they are either side of the BMW, and no BOP is ever going to truly be perfect. There's always a case of if you get a new addition to the roster, and I'm not saying that this is reality, but all I'll say is if you want to look to other genres of esports titles, there will be an artificially buffed period to encourage people to use that or mechanic or hero champion, that character in other esports titles before bringing them down to their intended state. It's a fairly common practice. But in due time, everything settles itself out and you have a truly balanced grid as originally intended. The Ostrachars going for the challenge on to the side of Hellstrom there and getting a move successfully out of Stowe into Vale and Club now, where they can seal the deal The two Mustangs running behind, and they might even have a little bit of a squabble. We'll see. We have seen, just because they've got a Wolfpack coat of paint doesn't mean that they are going to be 100% playing nice and cooperative. Bishrek as well, another driver to watch, as they have been a strong competitor and currently stand in the lead of silver. P2 last time out, potential for P1 again here. This could be very interesting and could be a real boon to the results of the Ferrari right now. See, David Drury is currently running very slow off the side of the track into the loop. It will always be a case of safe rejoins and sportsmanship. It looks like Drury's having a serious car issue. He's running slow. Very slow, in fact. We're going to take a bit of a rewind and see exactly what happened here. So let's go to the helicopter. You can see Drury just ahead of the fight with Ostrichaz and co. Is he now heading in? Oh, looks like there was a... Oh, no! Major collision! That is going to be a brutal incident there. I think Drury wasn't able to really sort of navigate that, and now is going to peel off into the pit lane. Yep. I'm not sure if they're going to be coming out in any good position, but one thing's for sure, they're not going to be a happy bunny. We have Randy Zimmer, who is also in the pits and has been for an extended amount of time, so that leads us to suggest here in the commentary box they will be retired out. So that is effectively 42 cars on the course right now. We have Heber trying to make a recovery, coming out of the stop-and-go penalty on the back of Christian Sullivan in the Lambo. Now, say we know that the Ferrari is fairly well balanced. We know that it is good at rotating, but at the same time it can be very twitchy. If you get a bit too much on that rotation, it can very quickly go past the point of no return. So it's a balancing act with this thing. That rotation can be a blessing and a curse. As we will see a couple of fights up and down the course. Homer on the back of Mitchell, Porsche v Porsche. The Porsche is a sort of fairly, or at least from, say, the sources I've sort of heard and what experienced, it can be a car that you can lean on more than some others. I think you can take a bit more slip angle before the car starts to truly go. It is a good option if you want a bit of stability and a little bit of give before you start to get into a dangerous spot. But that is, of course, a compromise, because that means you won't be able to get as much of a tight response and as much sensitivity as maybe one would like. You are guiding the car through more than you are pointing it. And for some driving styles, that can be great. That can be perfect, but not always. It's all about preference and where you shine best with the configuration. See, for example, this is Heber actually going off the track here, so they had a bit of an excursion into the grass just before they came into Village, and they've actually dropped out multiple seconds to Sullivan. Down 1.5 to the 41 Lamborghini. You can just see them in the foreground here. See also as well, this is Missouri on to the back of Paul Hamby now. Silver v gold here, and say running quite close. All does look to be peeling away though. Sullivan might even be able to get some momentum now that Hebert's no longer breathing down their neck. They've got on the back of Peter Smith right now. Through the twisties. It's interesting you say that the Porsche isn't so easy to drive. Or will find that, I don't know, I mean, maybe a sort of mix of driving styles, like we were saying, or what may be easy to drive for one is hard to drive for another, and vice versa. But just checking in with the top end of the field, Lindblom is leading by 2.3 seconds, just set the fastest lap of the session with a 57.835, and is just trying to get a bit of a break on to the likes of Guillemot right now. So 208 Mustang is going to be in the middle of it all. Two NSXs either side. But a bit of a challenge ahead. This is exactly what we were saying before about that judgment, about that choice. You are currently, when we were on board with Guillemot, we are equidistant. 2.5 seconds to Lindblom and 2.5 seconds to Hermé. Give or take a tenth here and there. Could either push up to chase Lindblom and really wrangle that Mustang, extract the maximum amount of pace you can, or play it safe. Don't necessarily worry about the gap, but just keep consistently lapping to the end of the race. You've got about 5 laps left at this point. In fact, I think we will have perfectly 5 laps left. But this also runs the risk of Hermé being able to catch up if you take your foot off the pedal. Now, Hermé is running about 2 to 3 tenths slower lap on lap, so we will see if that gap can be maintained or if Oscari is going to drop away. It's not going to be an easy fight, regardless of how you slice it. Further down, it is a quartet of cars. You have Trickett down to Hebert, P30 to 33, all in a very tight, compacted space. We've got Trickett and Smith going side by side into Club now. Oh, bit of contact being made. There's going to be a bit of fisticuffs going on between cars. Oh, the McLaren of Smith has lost control, lift off oversteer, and immediately into the grass. He's going to retire himself out of that fight and down into P34. Oh no, P33's retained it still, as Gabbert is actually much further away than I initially realised, but that is still going to leave 3 cars remaining in this set. There's going to be Guillemot trying to sweep through and get past the traffic as soon as possible. There's their target, Lindblom, in their sights. Hebert is going to be going to the outer edge. Sullivan actually had to take to the runoff on the approach to Village there in order to preserve themselves, keep themselves out of trouble. Is Trickett being overtaken by Hebert owing to the traffic disruption, and Hebert is going to be immediately making an advantage. Hermé is going to be stuck behind these two as well as they make their way through Luffield, and now will be a quick run for the NSX. Blue flags being waved, as you can see, by the stewards. And the NSX is going to try and get round. Going to be Trickett holding firm to the racing line. Now, of course, with blue flags, it's yielding the position when it is safe to do so. This is going to be the chance where he's decided he's going to do that, just heading into maggots. So smooth operating, smooth sailing is the name of the game. But Trickett, though, struggling to get a good run through this section, and this is going to be Sullivan's chance. Chasing down, good chase on to the hangar, straight and side by side as they head into Stowe in just a moment here. See, Trickett is going to go on the inside on the apex for defense. Is there going to be enough speed in the tank of the Lambo to keep it alongside? Not quite, as they're on the run down. Sullivan is going to be waiting in the back line, but is not going to have the chance to go for it today. Curiously, Guillemot's actually made up about a second. I think that is in good part due to traffic management. I think Guillemot had an easier time getting past that gaggle of cars we were on board with earlier. But still, it's reined him in. It's brought him within range. And is going to be a big factor in these next couple of laps. Remember, 3 laps to go effectively here. As it's about 2 minutes a lap. running 158s, 159s across the board right now. Lindblom was 1.2 seconds slower than Guillemot on the last. The two Porsches fighting now as well. It's Homer and Mitchell. They're going very close to the back of each other. Heading down the straight. We will see there is Holmberg as well going for a bit of a chase. It's Wolfpack v Wolfpack. See, it's firmly glued to the wake of the number 660 there. Goes to the inside. And a very deep swing there. Holmberg is going to fight for the position. It's a swing and a hit. Holmberg in the 231, now into 9th. Hellstrom going to be down in P10. Emma is not actually gaining any time relative to Lindblom here. Both running 58. Albeit Lindblom was actually half a second slower on that lap. I think he's trying to gain time back now. Both of them have got to push for this. They've got to fight tooth and nail to keep their spots that they're at. Lindblom will be holding firm. And he's a proven entity. He knows his pace and what he's capable of. But he cannot break away. AMR is just remaining in that proximity. There's no escape. And that's standing for something. Even if he can't break away, though, he is still ahead. And Guillemot is the one at the major disadvantage, because not only has he got to bridge a second of gap, but he's got to do so and get by. Defender's advantage is very much a thing. A lot harder to go on the attack if you're looking at roles in that relationship. Trickett and Sullivan still running very close together. We are down to 40 cars, 40 effective cars, as we did lose Hebert, unfortunately. We lost Hebert. But they disconnected from the session. So trying to find the trace logs, any trace logs in regard to other drivers that are not yet there. Oh, hang on, saying that, hang on a moment here. This is Lindblom. Lindblom made a crucial mistake. Look at that slide coming out of Maggots and Beckett's. That's on the replay cam, and all of a sudden, his loss is Guillemot's gain. Got the move done, and on to the final laps now. The Mustang is out ahead. Big style points for the drift, but Lindblom has made that crucial mistake, dropped the time, and he's going to be fuming. I can tell you that for a fact right now. Going to be fuming that that occurred, and will be on a warpath to gain that time back. Get himself back before it's too late. This is the final lap we're about to come on to now. So it is make or break for both of these drivers here. Got to keep it honest and keep it clean to the last leg of the line. Final lap begins now. Season 9 round 2 has already matched round 1 in terms of excitement. Less incidents, which I am happy about, and racing action just as intense. They formally dub the Sir Driftblom going forward. Not the ARTA NSX, it is Driftblom. You heard it here first. He's down into the hangar straight. Really giving it absolutely everything he can right now. Guillemar's actually not having to pull any defensive moves. He's not in enough proximity to where he's having to deviate from the racing line. He doesn't feel that same pressure despite the opponent that he's up against. He's got 0.6 of a second on him. Number 21 car as well has made a bit of a stop on track. Bit of an incident. That is John Gabbett. 0.6. Keeping fairly balanced. That's down to 0.3 though now. The gap is closing. Lindblom is really hungry for it. Wants it more than anything. And oh no, 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 no! Lindblom has pushed it step too far. Lost the car. And now into P3. Just cooked it a bit too much. And now that is signed and sealed. That is P1 coming in for Guillemard. As the time has officially elapsed, I think that is going to be the session called. So once the timer hits 0, it's once the leader crosses the line. Lindblom was so pushing hard for it. Just a little bit too much there, unfortunately. Too much punch for Judy. But in the end, Guillemard, through raw consistency and drive, is going to take the checkered flag and the win here for the gold class here in Season 9, Round 2. Hermé takes a surprise second. Waiting in the wings, we said about a vulture at the start, and the vulture has collected the spoils through determination, and Lindblom giving it everything, almost too much of everything, unfortunately, towards the end, but still a very respectable and commendable P3. Great racing all around onto those podium drivers in particular. Looking to the silver class runners, we have got the next few coming through. We've got P1 through 7 already finished here, but everyone else is going to be now tailing their way through to the checkered flag. And leading that in our now potentially championship leading trim for silver, Radislav Visharek will be several positions ahead of Paul Murray, who's currently leading and is going to be crossing the line. P1 and proud, having come off a second place and now a double podium. Near flawless record so far. John Mitchell's going to take your second place and is going to take a healthy bump in standings with the points, with Robert Homer into the P3. Following that, you have in the bronzes, you have Craig Niesbet now coming up to the line. Sweeping through the final corners here. 29 laps later, Niesbet winning for bronze. And then Rog Dispikas in a very close second, really bringing the fight to the very end. Trickett in third place, and that is where we bring things to a closer, as we will now have the last cars coming across and through the field. There you have it, folks. We did unfortunately say goodbye to Heber, Drury, Newman, Cook, and Zimmer. In fact, Zimmer got disqualified by the looks of things, but that is where we call for tonight. It's been a great race. I mean, you can tell I was getting intense. I mean, look at my hair. I've got sort of wispy bits going everywhere. It's really getting into it. But that was an absolutely brilliant race, folks. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had as much fun as I did in the commentary box. And as always, if you did enjoy, stick around, consider subscribing. We've got a whole season of this. We've got a whole season of this to go. We've just gone through round 2, but next week is going to be same time, same place, except at Kyalami. Another absolute masterclass of a track, in my opinion. Certainly one of my favourites, and one that doesn't get as much love as I think it really should. But that's enough for now. Talking about then, let's focus on the here and the race we just experienced. There's going to be a lot of championship change-ups, and a lot of drivers are going to be walking away with a healthy boost in their points. But for now, we have to say goodbye. Remember, next week is going to be Kyalami, same time, same place. You can catch me there, and hope to see all of you there as well. For now, thank you very much for watching, and good night.